You're watching KSG News, where you get all the latest updates from across the globe to help with your exam preparations. We begin with GS Paper 2, with Israel in the process of forming a government and Palestine facing elections in the coming months. India has said that the international community must use this phase to focus on how to encourage the parties back to meaningful negotiations for achieving a peaceful solution to the dispute. Israel and Palestine have been in conflict for decades over various political issues such as borders, refugees, and the control of Jerusalem. Now, what is the significance of this, and what does this really mean, and what is it all about? The two-state solution has for decades been the primary focus of efforts to achieve peace in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. India has consistently called for direct peace negotiations between Israel and Palestine based on a global consensus on the end goal of a two-state solution. The first Palestinian elections in 15 years are slated to begin in May. India said Resolution 2334, adopted by the Security Council, calls for advancing the two-state solution through negotiations as well as to reverse negative trends on the ground, which includes settlements. Resolution 2334 also calls for preventing all acts of violence against civilians, including acts of terror, and for both parties to refrain from provocative acts of incitement and inflammatory rhetoric. These will create conditions for launching credible negotiations on all final status issues. India welcomed reports of agreement between Palestinian parties on the technicalities for the upcoming legislative elections, including a code of conduct intended to preserve the transparency and integrity of the election process. India strongly supports a negotiated solution resulting in a sovereign, independent, and viable state of Palestine living within secure and recognized borders, side by side at peace with Israel. India has voluntarily contributed $15 million to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East over the past 3 years and has committed another $10 million for 2021 to 2022. Moving on to GS Paper 3, the ISRO is embarking on a mission of a different kind by taking the Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology to a much higher, futuristic research orbit. The Bengaluru-headquartered space agency is striking a partnership with the IIST, something similar to the JPL Caltech model in the United States. The JPL, or the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, is federally funded by the US space agency NASA and managed by Caltech, that is California Institute of Technology. Now, what is this all about? To coordinate joint research activities between ISRO centers and IIST, akin to the Caltech JPL model, a dedicated framework has now been put into place with CBPO, or Capacity Building Program Office, located at the ISRO headquarters as a focal point. An advanced space research group has been created to identify application-oriented research projects of importance to ISRO centers and matching with the interests of IIST faculty. An empowered overseeing committee has been constituted to review and approve the proposals. Under the initiative, very advanced, totally new and futuristic projects, nothing that has been done by ISRO, would be taken up. 28 to 30 projects have been identified. Thiruvananthapuram-based IIST, an autonomous institution under the Department of Space and a deemed to be university, is similar to Caltech. In some more updates related to GS Paper 3, Goldman Sachs promoted Renew Power commissioned a 300 megawatt wind project in the Kutch district of Gujarat. The project was executed by Renew's arm, Renew Wind Energy AP2, and has a power purchase agreement PPA with the Solar Energy Corporation of India under Wind Power Project bidding Tranche 3. With this project, Renew's total wind energy capacity in Gujarat increased to 950 megawatts. The project will supply power to districts in Haryana and Odisha at rupees 2.44 per kilowatt hour. Recently, Renew Power announced it would list on Nasdaq through a business combination with RMG Acquisition Corporation 2. The pro forma consolidated and fully diluted enterprise value is expected to be close to $8 billion. This is the first time ever de-SPAC transaction globally involving a renewable power generating firm and first involving an India-based target since 2016. The project in Gadsi village of Kutch district was awarded in an auction conducted by Solar Energy Corporation of India. It will provide power to Haryana and Odisha. ReNew is among the country's largest independent power producers in terms of total generation capacity from renewable energy. And now we shift focus to GS Paper 2. Microplastic particles can become hubs for antibiotic-resistant bacteria and pathogens to grow once they wash down household drains and enter wastewater treatment plants, a new study has found. According to scientists, including those from the New Jersey Institute of Technology in the US, these plastic particles less than 5 millimeters in length, called microplastics, are capable of forming a slimy layer or biofilm on their surface which allows bacteria and antibiotic waste to attach. Now, what is the significance of this? The certain strains of bacteria have elevated antibiotic resistance by up to 30 times when living on microplastic biofilms that form inside sludge units at municipal wastewater treatment plants. A number of recent studies have focused on the negative impacts that millions of tons of microplastic waste a year is having on our freshwater and ocean environments, but until now the role of microplastics in our towns and cities' wastewater treatment processes has largely been unknown, the NJIT said. These wastewater treatment plants can be hotspots where various chemicals, antibiotic-resistant bacteria and pathogens converge, and what our study shows is that microplastics can serve as their carriers, posing imminent risks to aquatic biota and human health if they bypass the water treatment process. The researchers found that 3 genes in particular, SUL1, SUL2 and INTI1, known to aid resistance to common antibiotics, sulfonamides, were found to be up to 30 times greater on the microplastic biofilms than in the lab's controlled tests using sand biofilms after just 3 days. As other bacteria attach to the surface and grow, they can even swap DNA with each other. This is how the antibiotic resistance genes are being spread among the community. That's it in this edition of KSG News. Stay tuned for more such updates to help with your exam preparations.